Okay, I think we'll make a start now. We're a couple of minutes past 3, so let's make a start. And first of all, let me just thank you all for joining us. Good afternoon to those in Europe, and good morning or evening to those joining us from elsewhere around the world. We are recording this webinar as well. So if you do have colleagues who weren't able to join us but who are interested, then please do direct them to that, and we're happy to share that recording as always. So just by way of introduction, we are talking about onboarding today and how to accelerate our employees' onboarding within all different types of organizations. I'd like to start by introducing myself. And just to give a brief introduction, then we'll look at the research, and then we'll go straight into the demo. So my name is Betsy Kolkea. I've been working with Meta4 for several years in the role of Senior Functional Advisor, and involved both in implementations, in our implementation methodology, and in the research and development side, looking at how we can continually improve our platform and the solution offerings that we have. So onboarding has been one of our new areas of functionality where we've recently implemented new functionality, released new functionality, which our customers are utilizing, and that's why we just wanted to share some of the new functionality, some of the research findings that we've based our model upon with you today. Bettina, as you've heard, is also on the call. Bettina heads up our marketing team, and she'll be fielding any questions throughout the session, and her team will then be making sure that this is available as needed after the webinar itself. So let's just get going. I know some people on the webinar, I think, have had some experience with Meta4 already. Others are new to us. So just by way of a very quick vendor overview. So our mission statement, HCM software and service provider specializing in developing and implementing cloud HCM solutions for the global market, among the 3 leaders in the market in which we operate. So we have been in that marketplace for over 25 years now. We have a particular niche place in that we are totally dedicated to HR. It's 100% of what we do, and therefore 100% of our research and development effort is focused into the HR space, making us able to really focus on what we're hearing from customers, what we're seeing in the marketplace, what we hear from analysts, and making sure that our platform reflects that. We are present in 5 continents all over the globe. We have over 1,300 customers in all of those continents. Our solution is used to manage over 18 million people, and we're seeing enormous growth year on year in our cloud-based technology as customers who were initially on-premise are now moving towards cloud, and new customers are going straight to cloud solutions. So that's Meta4 in a nutshell. Continually growing. So in terms of customer size, these are just a few of our recent customers that we are partnering with who have 10,000 or more employees, and then a number who are mid-sized organizations throughout Europe and Latin America. But that's just by way of Meta4. Obviously, if you want to find out more about us, we would love to speak with you. But today our focus is in onboarding. And so just to set the scene, give you an idea of the structure that we'll follow today. First of all, looking at why is onboarding important? It was not a word or a concept that was embedded in most HR technology 10 years ago, for example, and it's now very central to what we do. So why is that important? Secondly, looking at the benefits, those organizations who do really well at onboarding, what benefits do they realize within their organizations? Then we're going to go on to look at a demo, and I want to show you around our new functionality, and then we will allow time at the end for conversation or discussions or questions should you have those. So that's a quick outline of our structure. Now, looking at the research, we just wanted to start off with a little bit of participation, and so to be looking at a couple of questions, giving your voice about onboarding. So first of all, I'd invite you to look at, to think about, when does your onboarding actually start? So we've got 4 different options here. Does it start at some point after the start date? Is that when the organisation actually gives consideration to the onboarding issues? Is it at the start date? Is it a week or 2 prior to the start date? Or is it really soon after acceptance of an offer? So I'm just going to trigger off that question. Hopefully that poll should be open and be in collection mode. So let's, I'm just going to give a little time while people respond to that. I know not everyone's able to use the poll technology, so I think we'll just get a fairly small small response rate. But okay, I can see there we've had a few votes, and I'm just going to close that in the interest of keeping us moving here. So if I can now work the technology, let's see how I publish that. Okay. Are you now able to see the results? Can someone just confirm that?
Okay.
You're able to see that, Bettina?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so great. Out of those 4 categories, we've actually had a split 50-50% between either on the start date or soon after offer and acceptance, with no one in the other 2 sides. So great. Let's just move on and look at what the research actually suggests. And recent findings that best-in-class companies are actually 35% more likely to begin onboarding processes before day 1. So traditionally, many organizations that we've all worked in the past decades would not really have given much thought until the start date, and certainly wouldn't have started the processes involved in onboarding. But increasingly, the evidence does suggest that the sooner that starts, the better. And indeed, much of the research suggests that there's a real vulnerable period between the acceptance of an offer and the start date, where traditionally organizations haven't been as strong as they could at keeping in contact with new starters, at starting to get them to feel engaged and starting to make them feel involved and excited about what's around the corner, addressing questions and issues. So really some advantages that would make it worth us all considering making sure we're starting onboarding sooner rather than later. Another quick poll. So this is looking at what's the scope of onboarding within your organization. I think, again, traditionally, onboarding mainly focused on administration and paperwork, but now there are many different areas, and you can see those all reflected in the poll here. So I'm just going to launch that one, and should be set up so that you can provide as many or as few answers on that as are relevant for your organization. So just to be thinking through, is it primarily paperwork and administration? Are you already starting to share information that will help them to understand the corporate culture? Are you linking them in with colleagues or contacts that will be important for them? Are you providing them with channels for their questions or any issues that they may have? And similarly on training and development, does that come within your scope? So some of those are perhaps newer areas that haven't been seen as an integral part of onboarding previously, but which today are used much more in onboarding. So you can see some responses coming in here, and I'll just give another second or 2 for people to finalize those. So I'm just going to again share that with you, and shows perhaps as we'd expect that 50% focus on administration, paperwork, and then there are some that are looking at organizational cultural considerations and also channels for questions and issues and resolutions. Let's carry on and look a little bit more broadly at what some of the research says about these areas. So a pretty long quote here, but I think a very relevant one from Burson, which is just highlighting getting off on the right foot in a new job is clearly critical. Beyond the tasks that we used to think of defining orientation, which were mainly around paperwork and mainly compliance driven, today's experiences have increased in scope. A welcome to the new organization, introduction to organizational culture and the mission, a way to meet colleagues and mentors. And it's really seen much more critically to be one of the key tools organizations have to reduce turnover. And we're going to see some of that in other ongoing research. So other research by the SHRM suggests that employees get about 90 days really to prove themselves in a new job. The sooner that they feel welcome and prepared in their job, the faster they'll be able to contribute successfully to the organization's mission. So really quite a short window with just 3 months for the average employee to be able to prove themselves in a new organization. Another interesting finding that over half of employees who went through structured onboarding were more likely, so employees who went through that were 58% more likely to still be with the organization 3 years on. So a much bigger increased retention rate for those organizations. 17% of hires are lost to the average company during the first 3 months of employment, according to the Harvard Business Review. And that was from research that just came out this summer. And then in financial terms, again, direct research showing that companies with successful onboarding programs, they not only are likely to retain their staff more readily, but also they report measurable profit growth. So key findings that really highlight for us the importance of onboarding. I think that can be summarized really. What's the result of onboarding according to the research? And there's really 3 key categories that falls into. Firstly, increased job satisfaction. Secondly, and perhaps not surprisingly, improved performance. So where our employees are able to have a much clearer picture of what the expectations are, what their objectives are during those critical 90 days, those will be reflected in improved performance. And then finally, as a measure to reduce that unwanted turnover during those initial weeks and months, onboarding can be a real help there. So 3 categories that, as we look at the research as a whole, that seem to crop up time and time again in onboarding when you're designing and thinking about your onboarding strategy and practices. The first is to make it personal. So the challenge in our digital environments today is to make a consistent but also a personal onboarding experience. So individuals are treated consistently throughout the organization. They get the information and the access to resources that they need, but it's presented in a very personal way for them. Secondly, the importance of social acceptance. So a meta-analysis showed that feeling socially acceptable was a key factor for newcomers' success, integrating in social networks, bringing greater access to information and resources. And the third key challenge really is the importance of the manager. And again, the findings of the HBR this summer were that supervisors and managers can either promote or inhibit newcomers' adjustment through their behavior, whether that's supportive or whether it's obstructive. Perhaps not surprising, but traditionally managers haven't played a very central role in designing or even implementing onboarding practices. And so one of the challenges is to really put the manager at the center of that. So I want to come on and show you our new functionality in this area. First of all, just to look at our model, what were the objectives that we have as we set out here? So the first one is engagement. We want to build positive engagement from that point of making an acceptance of the offer to the start of employment. The second is communication. And again, that's both ways. There'll be some things that the organization needs to communicate effectively to the new starter, and there'll also be questions and issues and things that the new starter wants to communicate to the organization. The third is administration, so managing that as seamlessly and efficiently as possible. And then finally, minimizing the turnover during that initial period. So different elements of onboarding. Very simply put, there's usually a bunch of things that new starters need to read. There are contracts and other legal documents to be completed, other official documents. There are queries from both sides of the employment equation. There are networks to be built, and there's training and development issues to be handled and to be initiated at that point after the recruitment. And so all of those coming together neatly will increase employee engagement at that critical stage. So that's really the model that we've based our functionality on. So quick demo here. We have a new starter called Andrew Lloyd. He's accepted our offer to take up the position of pre-sales technical consultant in London. He's due to start with us in early January, and we will just have a look now at the onboarding tool to see how that will enable him to have a positive experience with our organization. So I'm just going to switch straight into our platform here. And this would be a link that would be sent to Andrew as a new starter at some point after his offer acceptance of offer, and that will give him access to this portal. We're going to spend the majority of the webinar just accessing and seeing all the information that this gives, but just to emphasize a personalized approach. So he'll get a personalized welcome as soon as he logs onto that portal, and then he'll be able to start seeing different things. There's an employee profile area, which is where his information is held. Now, those clients who are also using Meta4's recruitment solution will, of course, be able to convert that recruitment data straight through to the employee database. And so any information that's been collected at the recruitment stage and is in the system will be automatically available to the employee for them to review and to modify if necessary. There's also a document management stage. There's areas to ask and resolve questions. You can see here immediately there's a countdown. So as that window diminishes between the point of acceptance of offer and start date, there's an active countdown. So let's just start by going in to see that employee portfolio area. Again, those of you who are already using our core HR system and are familiar with ESS and MSS will recognize that this format is identical to that which we offer within ESS. So it's an area where the new starter can see all their personal information, name, address, contact methods, marital status, etc., etc. They can see the data that has been brought forwards. They can see any comments that's been added. And you'll see over here at the top right, there's a configuration option. This enables the user to simply be able to switch on or off which sections they want to see. So you can see here that name and address have been switched on. Here the professional web page had been switched off, but if they want to add that, they can do that screen configuration there. So a quick and easy way for them to discern how they want to be using that. And again, very easy navigation options. So if they, for example, want to add in a new address, they simply add in the data and OK that there. So very simple structure for them to use. The front here shows the percentage completion, and so that's just based on the standards, the information that has been set as the standard new starter information the organization needs, and gives a quick and easy gauge of how complete or incomplete that is. That can also be helpful for the people managing onboarding from the organisational perspective to gauge if they need to just send out an encouragement for the new starter to complete some more of that. The second area here that we have is related to document management. And those of us who've been involved in onboarding or induction activities know that there can be a plethora of documentation. Some of it is legal, some of it is corporate, some can be personal, some needs to be signed, some needs to be read. And so this document management area just enables organizations to have a single place to manage that. And again, this will all be transferred through to the employee's record when they start. So 3 different categories: corporate information, so an employee handbook that can be downloaded, and you can see here that Andrew can write his comments. So I've read this and found it helpful, for example. Those comments will be retained against that. The second category here that we have is ID legal documents. So ordinarily, proof of identification is needed at this stage if it hasn't already been obtained. They can be downloaded or uploaded here, and again, comments can be added. You can see here that deadlines can be set. So if they need to be in place prior to the employee starting, those deadlines can be set and made explicit. And then again, that's easy for those who are handling the onboarding to see when deadlines have not been met and just to again send out a follow-up. And then finally, there's often documentation relating to security, whether that's company security or health and safety or internet security and protocols. So all different things. And you can see here there's also a tick box option for the new starter to indicate that they have read that and that they agree to the terms and conditions included. So all of these areas are configurable in terms of the organization can, behind the scenes, outline which types of employees should be given which documentation. So if, for example, every new starter should be given the Meta4 employee handbook and asked to read that prior to starting, that can be set as a universal. But there may be other corporate documents which are only relevant, for example, to people starting in the IT department. And therefore you can set against the IT job family. Every new starter in this area should automatically be sent this document as part of their onboarding. So it enables organizations to customize and make relevant those documents that are sent without flooding the new starter with information that's really not so relevant for them in what will obviously be a busy time as they're getting used to the organization. So the next area down here is really to help employees when they've got questions. So very simply, do you want to ask HR something, or do you want to ask the person who will be your manager something? The same tool is accessed through each of these, but obviously the query will be directed to different people. And so here we can see that Andrew has already gone in and said, I'm wondering what to do about pre-booked holidays. So he poses that question as a dialogue, and that will automatically go through to the HR department who are supporting Andrew and his team, and you would then be able to see the dialogue of information back and forth as they advise him on what's the best thing to do about that. The advantage here is obviously as a new starter, Andrew doesn't know who his HR support team will be or who he'll need to talk to, and the system here can then direct those different HR queries to the relevant member, either of a shared service team or of a local HR team. Exactly the same functionality that's available there is also available with the manager. So we can see here a while back, Andrew said, just wanted to say hi, excited about the job and the organisation since his interview. And then the manager can come back and offer a welcome and engage in any questions that he may have. So as you can imagine, in those days and weeks leading up to starting a new job, often new questions come to mind. Instead of saving them up or instead of feeling that you're bothering someone with them, it's a quick and easy dialogue tool for you to for the new starter to use just to resolve those questions quickly. So let's let's just come down here and see a couple of additional functional areas that are available to us. We can see here, again, this is the personal information and the documentation, but there's a couple of additional areas that that really complete the cycle. So training and development, again, much of the research suggests that we do a great job often at recruitment. We know exactly what we're looking for in terms of competency profile, knowledge, skills, and then we make a decision. And often a typical conversation will be, well, Andrew has 80% of what we're looking for, but I'm pretty sure he can learn the other parts. One gap is that he's not quite got the knowledge in this area, and we'll need to fill that gap. So all of that conversation takes place during recruitment, and then a decision's made and he accepts the offer. Now, more often than not, lots of that information then gets lost, and there isn't a natural flow through to say, okay, now he's accepted, let's action those points. Let's arrange training to try to fill that gap that we identified at the point of recruitment. Let's arrange some development actions so that they're all in place and really reflect to Andrew the importance that we as an organisation place on training and development. So that's where these two areas come in. You can see here a training. Again, those of you who are already using the training module will recognize these screens. And we've deliberately tried to make the screen layout and the navigation absolutely identical to the ESS tool, because Andrew's going to be using that in a few weeks' time. So the more that we can do to also start getting him used to the way that the ESS system works, the better. So as soon as he comes in here, he can see that he's already registered into a welcome day, and he can see details of that and the calendar date of that. If there were additional requests which had been made but which hadn't been validated yet, those would all show up here, and he'd be able to see the validation status of those. He can then move also directly over into development plans. And we can see that a development action has been scheduled for Andrew, starting soon after he starts, and that there's a mentoring development action, 0% progress and completion on that. But again, the important point is that Andrew can see, even before I've started, someone's given thought to how my development will take place. They've already got me enrolled on a training program. They're expecting me. I'm going to be welcomed there, and my development is going to be front of mind for the people that I'm working with. So a couple of really critical areas there to just sorry, to just ensure that sorry, I seem to have got stuck in a loop here, to ensure that new starters are aware that they're going to be welcomed. And now we've talked a little bit about networking and about the importance that employees place on feeling welcomed, feeling engaged, and building up a social network. Especially important for certain generations, for younger generations who are used to that in all aspects of their life, and will be keen to start building those networks as soon as possible. So our new functionality really provides for two different aspects of that. Firstly, we have people that you should meet, and secondly, colleagues. So the first one is people who are outside of the immediate team. So these aren't people that Andrew will be working next to directly. They're not in the same work unit as him, but there's a reason that he should be meeting with them. And so we can simply see what their job title is, but we can just dash down into each one of those, see where they're based, what team they're in, contact details, and then we can see that there's a reason been given by the person who's managing onboarding as to why it's important that Andrew will meet with Marta, so to look at logistics related issues. And Andrew can go ahead and chat with Marta and say, I'm starting on this date, look forward to meeting with you at that stage. Same with each of these. So whoever is managing the onboarding has the option to specify these. And again, in exactly the same way as with the documents, these can be preset to reflect aspects of Andrew's employment. So for example, an organization could say everyone should meet the managing director as part of their onboarding. In that case, that would be a universal setting, and that would show for every new starter. But you may say everyone who's starting in London should meet certain job holder who can give them information about getting to work in London or facilities available locally, for etc. So you can set these either against work unit, against job family, against work location, to make it a much more customized experience. And then it can obviously be set individually. You can say, well, Andrew particularly needs to meet these 3 people, and I'm just going to add those on to give him that personalized contacts list. Down at the bottom here, we can see my colleagues. So these are the people who are within the work unit or the team that Andrew will be joining. And again, exactly the same concept, that he can click down into anyone there, see what their job title is, contact details, and initiate a chat with them. Now, we find that this is particularly helpful or useful where people have made contact as part of the interviewing process or part of the recruitment process. Often they're the only faces of the organisation that the new starter knows, and so to just be able to say, oh, I recognise that Anthony was involved in my recruitment, I'm just going to send him a quick note to say it was great to have the interview and recruitment time with you, really looking forward to joining the team. Let me know if there's anything else I need to do before I start, for example. So again, these types of tools are very light touch, quick and easy ways where employees can really be encouraged to start thinking about their new team, to start getting engaged, to start getting excited, and also to realizing that they are welcomed and their arrival is expected and has been planned for. So it's a pretty quick run through of what our new onboarding portal looks like. I'm just going to minimize there and then dash back to the presentation mode. We've just got a couple of additional slides here. So behind the scenes, I've shown you what the portal does from the new starters perspective. But as we talked about, profiles can be created to predefine the documents or the contacts that new starters should see on their own personalized portal, depending on aspects like job, family, work unit, or legal entity. Onboarding can be managed in either the HR environment or in the MSS environment. And this is really a critical point. We saw in the research findings that the behavior of the manager is one of the critical factors in how quickly an employee will feel fully onboarded and up and running in the role. And so to give managers the ability to be able to be involved in the onboarding, to be involved in structuring it, and then checking as well how responsive the employee has been in completing the documentation or getting involved in dialogues can be really helpful. Those managing onboarding have a follow-up screen. So again, to bring together, okay, I've got 7 people who are all in the onboarding process. How are they all doing? Where do I need to follow up? Where do I need to send out encouragements to get a bit more involved? And document management can also be used for employees. So the documents which are collected and retained by the new starter will then flood through to the employee's record and all be retained there. So we think it's a very strong functionality that enables organizations to make a really good, seamless link between the recruitment experience and then the first day in the organization experience, to be gathering data continually, to be giving them the tools to see that they're expected, that they're welcomed, and that their development and training needs are already being thought through. So that's all that we wanted to cover in the webinar today. We do obviously want to allow time for any questions. Now I've had my my question box hidden over at one side during the webinar, but Bettina, I know that you've been monitoring questions as they came in. So I will pause now, and then let's see if we've got any questions, or Bettina, if you have any that we can field at this stage.
Yes, there's one question. Betsy, do you hear me?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
There's one question that has come in here related to the templates, to the countries. So do you have any templates already available for the different countries? I guess that this is also something that has to do with one of the questions that I also had preferred to open up our question session, how to implement and how to set up clear expectations and things from country to country. So that's one of the first questions that have come in.
Okay, yeah, so let me just make sure that I've understood the question so I can see it here. Do you have templates ready for different countries? Suzanne, can you, I think it was you who posed that question, can you just explain that a bit more fully so I can make sure I'm providing the right information?
No, okay. Perhaps we can jump into to another one of the questions. Is there a link to other departments, like, for example, the ICT and facilities? So from here, is there a link to other departments that will just, once the person has joined the company, have the right information to set up all that the person needs during their setup phase?
Yeah, so we have the standard functionality for workflow. So I guess two responses to that. Firstly, obviously, whoever the organization can grant access to the onboarding tool for whoever needs that. So that need not be restricted to just HR or managers. Ordinarily, logistics and, as you say, ICT and other compliance areas may also need access. So they can be given direct access if that's the most helpful way, but there are also the ability to have workflows behind the onboarding to be able to involve other relevant teams as is needed.
Sure. Another question that has come in is how much work does it take in the background to manage this type of onboarding?
Yeah, great question. I think often our clients ask that at the beginning, because when onboarding hasn't been done this way in a perhaps a consistent and automated or digital way before, it can seem like, oh, that's an additional thing for HR or for a manager or for someone to do. I think as we see it actually being implemented, we realize that all of these things generally needs to take place. As we've seen, the research indicates the more that you do of the engagement activities, the better the outcome for the organization. So the paperwork needs to be handled, and this is just a very quick and easy and efficient way of handling it. So I would say that there is obviously some work to do to manage this, but our experience is that organizations stop doing a lot more than they have to start doing. So they can stop sending out emails with attachments that need to be downloaded and uploaded and then need to be saved onto somewhere and made accessible. They can stop having to set diary notes to remind them of when certain things need to be done. So all of those kind of fairly manual ways of doing induction and onboarding in the past can be stopped, because there's a single repository here that will manage all of those. Similarly, all the documents, all the data that's uploaded, it never needs to be touched by anyone else, because it's the employees' data. They upload it into their own portal, which will be then existing in their own ESS suite. So there's many ways where there's a lot less to do. There is more to do in terms of discerning which contacts, which documents you want to send out to an employee to make that really personalized. But as we've mentioned, there are quick and easy tools to be able to manage that against different data points in the system, against work units or legal entities or job families. So I think what we see really is a reduction in work overall, a much more enhanced onboarding experience, and yeah, overall the workload is reduced.
Sure. Great. Well, related to the first question, that was related to the templates already available for the different countries.
Yeah.
The question and the explanation for this is for global companies to speed up implementation. For instance, the legal documents that need to be provided by the employee can be different from one country to another one. So I suppose that the question on that, yeah.
Yeah, so thanks for that clarification, Suzanne. Yeah, so that's exactly what the profiles enable you to do. So to be able to say, you know, all employees in France need to be made aware of these legal issues or need to sign these 3 documents. So you can simply link that document to either, and it depends how you've set it up within your Meta4 solution, but either to a legal entity, if you've set France up as a legal entity, or to a company, or to a work location, however that's set up. You can say everyone who starts in France needs to get these 3 documents. Everyone who starts in Spain needs these 2, and everyone who starts in the UK needs these different documents. So whilst we've shied away from trying to provide a fixed template, because our experience is always that doesn't provide the flexibility our customers are looking for. Rather, we're providing these profiles to be able to say these people should meet, these contacts, these different groups of people should be given this document, so that all of that can be done en masse, if you like, behind the scenes. Then if you go in and you say, okay, now I've got Jeremy, he's going to be starting work in France in the IT department, the system will automatically say, okay, what do we know about Jeremy, which team he's starting in, which location, which country, what his job is, and it will bring in any suggested documents or networks or people contacts as a kind of a starter. And then the person managing the onboarding can do the final stage of personalizing that and saying, oh, also I want Jeremy to meet this person and to review this meeting document, for example. So not a template as such, but a tool that enables you to be much more flexible than a fixed template would.
Okay, thank you, Betsy. I think we've come to the end of this session. I had several other questions prepared, but we have had several incoming questions, and I believe that we could be talking for a while about this interesting issue. So any other questions to the people that have participated, just send them over to us. We will be happy to help you, to answer any questions that come in. Thank you so much for your participation, and thank you, Betsy, for your presentation.
Great, thanks, Bettina, and thanks to everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.